know, you have an amazing cast. Can you talk a little bit about casting and who signed on first? And
well, it all started with Robin, you know, and that was the real struggle, was who's going to be Pippa, because obviously because it's the center of the film, and also young Pippa, but young Pippa, I knew I would have to audition many girls, and Pippa was somebody I was going to offer the part to, and Robin was somebody that I loved always, and really was one of my favorite actresses, but I felt she was too young, and she read the script because her agent is also the same as mine, and she wanted to talk to me about it. And I thought, well, that's so interesting. I'll talk to her. And I talked to her, and I realized that this was one of those rare, she really is a rare actress, and that she approaches things as a character actress, in that, she'll do whatever it takes to make a part work. Whatever physically she has to do. If she has to appear to have one less tooth in the front of her mouth, or increase the size of her butt, or whatever it is that she has to do to make a part work. And aging up was not a problem for her. And when I realized that, that she didn't mind, I thought, well, God, I think we have Pippa, and that was just began this wonderful collaboration. And then everybody else kind of followed from there. I think it was Julianne was the only person I actually knew of that cast, so I was able to just call her and ask her if there was a part that she liked the idea of. And then we went on from there and just kept casting.
So can you talk a little bit about the adult Pippa and the teenage Pippa? They're playing the same person. How do you work with two actresses who are the same person?
Well, I mean, first of all, casting young Pippa was hugely difficult, because Robin has a very distinctive, slightly flattened face that's just so particular. And, we were so lucky that Blake has that kind of feeling about her bone structure and her face, and she's a certain kind of way her eyes are structured, and the rest of it that makes it believable. They studied each other, and we had a kind of a camera test where we were testing light and costume, etc. But we were also having Blake move around, talk, and so on. And Robin studied her, and there were certain little things that Blake did naturally as a person that Robin then took and used. And then Blake studied Robin doing her, but not only doing her. I mean, Robin's performance is a very complex kind of amalgam of things. And then Blake studied some of those brushes and kind of took the essence of what Blake was, or what Robin was doing.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the scenes had little dialogue, but there was a lot going on to move the film on. Can you talk about shooting, and where does that take place, in the writing or the directing?
Well, with this film, I wanted to it was somewhat of a departure from the last two films, which we shot handheld and very much following the actors. In this film, every shot was pretty precise, and pretty much always moving. I mean, there's a lot of very quiet motion in the film. The camera never really comes to rest, or very rarely comes to rest. I wanted to get this feeling like, life is always moving you along, almost like a river, like she's in this river that's of time that's moving her through. And yet I didn't want it to be too chaotic, because I figured that there's so much motion in the story itself, that there's so much going back and forth in time, that if it was too rocky in terms of the cinematography, it would be hard to watch. And also I felt that there was something kind of the elegance and grace of Pippa herself that should be reflected in the way it was shot. But so in the way the camera is always kind of telling the story, and then there's the words, but the camera still always has to be telling the story at the same time.